Welcome to episode 2 of the Real Talk podcast. Today we're joined by Emily Brand from the marketing team. Emily, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Emily, people have probably seen you walking around the call centre and around the business, but for those who haven't, or those who haven't met you or spoke to you, could you just give us a little bit more information about you and what you do on a daily basis?
Yeah. So currently I'm the marketing executive at EC. Originally started, I think it was June 2018. Just finished uni. I'd done uni for 4 years, studying events management and done a placement in innovation management trainee. Ideally wanted to get into some full-time work to make some money, just leaving university and get some experience essentially. But then started on the phones and quickly progressed, moved on to the complaints team. That campaign kind of came to an end, so opportunity came to go on to compliance, so monitoring people's calls and emails. And my passion really is within doing events management. I studied marketing as well, so applied for that job because I was really interested in that, and still there now. So
somebody said to me, and I've taught you this just earlier on, but somebody said you'll really love Emily because she was on furlough during the start of COVID and whatnot, which obviously is not a great thing. But then she took up the option to come back into work, not in the marketing role that she was employed to do, but to get one of our campaigns off the ground. Now, I'm interested to talk to you about that because I think that some people would call it a can-do attitude. Some people would just call it the right mindset. But I think you there displayed something that a lot of people could learn from, in terms of you just wanted to come in and do whatever it takes to make the business a success. Tell us a little bit more about sort of that time when you were on furlough, coming off furlough, and obviously getting on to that particular campaign.
Yeah, I mean, well, to be honest, it wasn't great. It was a really shit time, to be honest. I didn't enjoy I don't enjoy working from home. I do like being around people. So I spoke to James, obviously one of the ops managers, and they were setting up a new campaign. They needed a little bit of help, and rather than sit at home doing nothing, I was like, I may as well give it a go, give them a little hand to get them set them on the feet, really. But it went well. It was something to do as well.
Yeah, and do you think? I mean, have you always had that kind of work ethic of I need to be working, I need to be doing something, or is that something you've just sort of developed the last couple of years, or?
Oh no, definitely. I think I'd rather have more work than no work. I think I get more stressed when there isn't work, so I always like being kept on my toes, definitely.
I know obviously you've done a few different roles within the business. What does the future hold, do you think? What kind of things would you like to do in the future?
Definitely would like to progress further. I'm learning a lot of things. Obviously, predominantly my background was events management with marketing. So now we have a structure in place and a plan for marketing. I think there's loads of different opportunities. We've got new ideas now. We've got new ways of running social media, even with these podcasts, doing things that I've never done before. It's nice to learn new things, and it's all good experience for moving forward, really.
And again, I know you mentioned there sort of new experiences. Like, do you find it hard the longer you're in a job to kind of to keep things fresh, or are you the kind of person that once things start to get a bit sort of repetitive, that you'll go looking for it, or do you just sort of accept things the way they are and just get on with it?
No, I think you've got to use initiative, having, and you've got to keep it fresh. So I think it's a good now brainstorming different ideas, seeing what people want, learning what our staff want to see, and coming up with new ideas to keep current, because things are progressing. Doing things like podcasts, we're trying to evolve, and definitely coming up with new ideas to keep yourself edgy and show what we're all really about.
So in terms of you personally, what sort of strengths do you think that you bring to the business? Like, what's your sort of unique selling point, if you like?
Oh, I had a feeling you were going to ask me questions. These ones are always
You're on the spot now.
I would say, well, one, I would say I am a hard worker. too. I'm creative.
Was that a pause waiting for me to agree with you?
Yes.
Yes, I can confirm Emily is a hard worker. Yes.
I would say, creative, like coming up with new ideas. I would say kind of approachable, wanting to go out there, enthusiastic, meeting people at work, engage with them, seeing what they want, just so they know that we're there for them, and they can come to us if they've got any new ideas for us to basically give them what they want to see as well.
Yeah, because I think
some more strength. It's hard thinking about your own strength.
It is. Do you know what it is? It is true. And again, when people put you on the spot, you're kind of like, you panic. But I find that the more you focus on sort of almost self-evaluation, if you like, sort of like, I've got this thing down here, this, what's it called? The High Performance Planner. Now, I think Nikki Welsh has got one. And it kind of...
Welsh absolutely has one of them.
But it promotes it to sort of evaluate yourself, review your day, review your week, and really focus on your strengths, your weaknesses, so that the next week you've got a written sort of note of what your strengths were, what you need to work on, that type of thing. And I think, especially in this day and age, I think there's so much content out there to learn from, whether it's LinkedIn or Skillshare, or there's so many online courses you can do now. Like, there's really no excuse not to want to progress yourself and want to learn new stuff. And
definitely.
And I think one of those things is self-development. Would you say that you're a different person from when you started? Day one, what did Emily look like on day one? Like, not physically look like, but like, go back to that time when you first walked through the door. Like, how did you feel at that point about what you were going into?
I was a little bit nervous. I'd never worked in a call centre before. I'd never been in that type of environment. But then I was also excited because I knew I was going to earn full-time money.
Yeah.
Not going to lie, first going on the phones, after a few weeks, I didn't really enjoy it. It's not for everyone because of how hard of a job it is. And I think people forget that it's an easy job to work in a call center when it's actually really not. And I don't think people get enough credit for both inbound customer service and outbound sales. They're both very hard jobs, so it can be a little bit draining. Yeah. So it was hard, and I knew. But then, really, that was a bit of the kick up the bum.
You went in excited mainly to earn the full-time wage. Went through training. Went through onto Economy Energy, wasn't it? Was that outbound or was that inbound?
That was inbound, yes. So inbound customer service at first, and then I moved on to the complaints team. So that was hard in itself as well. But
yeah. So what in that transition between being on the phones to working in the complaints teams, what skills do you think that you sort of learned in that time?
Patience.
Yeah.
Patience, yeah. And
When you say patience, like, what do you mean? Like, in respect to what? Patience with yourself or patience with other people? Or?
Patience, yeah, both really. Learning to understand that obviously people are coming to you sometimes with a problem, and if you can't always fix it there and then, you've got to understand that they're going to be quite frustrated. So you've just got to be there to be patient and understand that they've got a real problem, really. Organisation skills. So on complaints, you were dealing with several complaints all at one time. So you had to manage your time as well, really. Yeah. Timekeeping. You obviously had a lot of deadlines and targets to meet. So you always had to keep on top of your game, really, to make sure you were hitting or exceeding the targets that had been given by your manager.
Because I think, again, speaking from experience, I was talking to Mark yesterday. We have a shared sort of history in that I've been on the phones myself. I've done the job, so I know what it's like. And years ago, I mean, it was 2010. I'd got promoted from working on the phones to being a sales trainer, and I found it a difficult transition going from being on the phones and management talking to you and guiding you and whatnot to then being in a position where it's almost roles are reversed, that you're the one speaking to agents. And whilst the people skills kind of that was something I was comfortable with. It's the sort of it's the thinking ahead of time, thinking ahead, self development of people, and you really do get round to the idea of, or you become aware of when you're feeding things back to people, whether it's in complaints, whether it's in compliance. Like, you have such a massive impact on that person and what you say, what you do, your body language, everything. Like, did you find that transition from being an agent into that sort of almost junior management position? Did you find that difficult, or did your personality make that a lot of an easier transition, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, the compliance side, totally get where you're coming from, because you've gone from their level to then to a level where you're telling them things that they haven't done as well as they could have. That was always a bit odd, but I think it's just your delivery, really, how you approach them, how you let them know, and as long as you give them areas to improve rather than just all negative, then I think you build a good relationship with them.
So if somebody watching this now who is maybe thinking applying for a more senior role, what would you say would be the sort of the biggest or the best piece of advice that you could give to them, so that when they go into that new role, they're very they're prepared, if you know what I mean?
First of all, do it. Go for it. You've got nothing to lose. It's all experience. You're better off applying. Go for your interview. If you aren't successful, you always get feedback on your interview, so people are always willing to help, give you some ideas on how you can do better next time, or for your areas for improvement. I would say go into it with confidence. If you're confident, you can use your own initiative, take your own ideas, show that you're not scared to do the job, and always make it aware that you're willing to learn. You're willing to learn, and you're willing to always develop yourself, really.
Yeah. And I think, again, when you look at the sort of the running themes of people who have progressed, in their careers, not just within EC, but in businesses all over the world. Mm-hmm. I think it seems to be that are the people that are willing to self-develop and that are willing to push themselves, whether it be to get outside of their comfort zone, whether it's to learn a new skill or a new sort of technique or something. Like, it's those people that seem to sort of to really progress and really do well. Do you think, and there needs to be a balance, I think, just sort of thinking out loud, there needs to be a balance between the mental health side of things. Like, there's people who really want to be a success and go for it and will go all in, but then there's people who think that they want that, but aren't maybe, or don't have the sort of the coping skills or the mental toughness to deal with what that actually brings. Have you found any of that yourself? Like, have there been times where, as you've gone up that ladder, you've become acutely more aware of the pressures and the effects it has on your mental health?
To be honest, I'm lucky. I have never suffered mental health wise. The time I have struggled, I would say, is in lockdown with coronavirus. We had so many plans for this year, and then all of a sudden you've got to work from home, you're furloughed, and you honestly did fall into, I did fall into a little bit of a rut.
Yeah.
And I would find that pressure wise, I don't feel like I've ever felt so under pressure that I couldn't cope. There's always, if I needed to, I would always be able to reach out to someone and say, look, I'm struggling a little bit here. But I know certainly some people have, when you're full on target driven, but people just need to know that there's support mechanisms in place to help people if they were feeling that way.
Yeah. I mean, speaking to Mark yesterday, he said exactly the same sort of thing. Like, whenever he's had, a bad afternoon or a bad morning or whatever, or he's got stuff going on outside of work, there's always people there to support him. And I think, you can't ask for more than that, really. When everyone's got stuff to deal with. We've all got stuff going on outside of work, but to come into work and to know that you've got that sort of foundation to then go and build your own career around a support network, do you know what I mean? It's like, you can't ask for more than that. So you mentioned there about sort of lockdown and sort of how tough you found it. Like, now that we're on almost the second wave, and obviously the government have just announced that we're going into sort of a form of a local lockdown, like, working from home is probably going to continue. What kind of things have you put in place to sort of help cope? Like, have you got any sort of routines that you're in that make things a little bit easier for you?
Yeah, definitely. What I've definitely learned is you need to get up on the morning, get out of bed, and get ready, like as if you're going to work. Because if you just sit around in your jammies, you feel crap again in the afternoon.
Yeah.
But definitely, absolutely. Now I've got chats with loads of different people. So it's like being in the office, even though you're not really in the office. But
Yeah.
everyone still communicates. We can sometimes pop into the office because we've got things in place now where
Yeah.
everything's socially distanced. There's only so many people in it at times. So that keeps it still a little bit,
Yeah.
a bit formality.
It breaks it up a bit, yeah. So you're not in the
yeah,
house all the time.
definitely, yeah. I think things like this help. These will help
Yeah.
people, our staff. We're having videos now on Fridays and things. So we've definitely put things in place to help it and make it feel a little bit more normal again.
Really, really appreciate you joining me on the podcast. And we'll see you hopefully on another one very soon. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.